I want you to understand that I understand that I'm probably preaching to the choir, because I feel certain that you all know what I'm going to tell you, but possibly you have forgotten some of what I'm going to tell you. And if so, my purpose is to remind you of what you might already know. In my view, networking is probably the most important part of what you do. Because you can have all the glorious listings in the world, and you can have all the most wonderful prospects, but if they're not quality prospects, by that I mean if they're not going to buy something, it's all for naught. And it's my opinion that you have to network wherever you live for the rest of your life to make your business as profitable as possibly you want it to be. And so today we're going to talk about what that means. And once again, here comes 3 more. No, 4 more. Where have y'all been? We have been looking for you all everywhere. Thank you. Y'all please have a seat. I think maybe I better stand for a little bit. Thank y'all for being here. Y'all are mighty nice to come. And those people over there, they've really missed a lot by not coming. You know, it's my view, how are the people going to know what you do if you don't really make yourself available to people? By that I mean if you don't really network. How are people going to know who you are? And what I'm not talking about, oh, here's my business card. I'm not talking about, let me help you with all of your real estate needs. That, I detest that. I do. I'm better than that. And I want you to be better than that too. What I want you to learn from today, from my opinion, and hopefully you agree with some of it, I want you to learn better how to make yourself available to more people, to a bigger circle of people, to let them know who you are and find out how you tick so they may very well want to do business with you, as opposed to you going to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and say, here's my business card, send me all your real estate people. I'm not a believer in that. I want you to learn how to get yourself better prepared to know the public and let the public know you, so they can touch and rub who you are, so they will know what you do for a living, and so they will want to do business with you. So let's get started on that. History proves networking to be successful. I have to tell you, I hadn't read a lot of books that tell me that. I just believe it, because it has really made my business. And I don't think it's important so much to tell you what I have done. But whatever success I experienced in Birmingham, the majority of the reason that success took place is because of the number of people that I learned to know, and they learned to know me. It was not how wonderful I knew about the financial system of our business. It was not necessarily the ethical behavior that I knew about. However, that's most important. It was not necessarily knowing how many courses I had taken. It was not necessarily knowing how many NAR meetings I had been to, but in your case, how many VAR meetings I had been to. What it really was, as I had digested in my mind, it was the greater number of people that I had learned to know, and they had learned to know me and what I did. Because if I do that well, then they're going to remember me. And of course, if I do it poorly, they're going to remember me too, but it ain't going to be in a good way. Customers demand to want to know who you are. And we're going to talk about technology just a little bit, because I'm not so hot on it. By that I mean I'm not so good at it. But we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I'm talking about the level of getting to know people and they getting to know you. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about technology. Real estate companies are more like a business than ever before. For that very reason, you have got to expand the number of people that you know and the number of people that know you. Today, more customers want a relationship with people in the brokerage business than ever before. In our business in Birmingham, we owned a company in Birmingham that had 1,150 agents. In Alabama, that's a big company. And we sold it to a national concern, a very good national concern. And they're doing a good job. But we have found that for a while, maybe we got too big for our britches with regards to some of the people that we did business with. By that I mean that they felt, by that I mean they being customers and clients, felt that we had forgotten a little bit about who they are and what they do. And all we wanted to do was sell them a house and say bye. Well, you know, that is what we do, because we're not going to sell just one house, hopefully. We're going to move on to the next one. But I'm going to say in here somewhere, and I don't ever stick to my notes that I write, which is unfortunate for you all, probably. But I have to tell you that the number one reason why we lose a listing in our business is not because we didn't sell it, but it's because the seller thinks we don't care about it. You can argue that all day long with me, but I'll win. That is the very reason why we lose the listing more times than not, is because the seller thinks we don't care about it. We didn't call them enough. We didn't make them feel like that we really wanted to get sold. And that's why they take the listing away from us, more times than not. Well, I say to you that more times than not, the same goes with a buyer. Because many times they feel like we really don't care about them. All we want to do is sell them something. And they really want to get to know who we are, and they want us to get to know who they are and find out what they want. And it really doesn't matter what we want. One of our best agents in our company, and she's most successful and has a lot of money. I wish I could borrow some. And she pull mouths all the time, but she's delightful and dead attractive and very smart. But she has, in her way of doing, for years, she would get in the car with someone from out of town and say, I remember this, and I remember that, I remember this, and I've sold this many houses, and I've been to multi-million dollar club this many times, and I'm a CRS, I'm a CRB, I'm an ADC, I'm a BRD, and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? We finally got together and to finally come to grips with the fact that people truly are not all that concerned about that. What they're really concerned about is what they want. And they really don't care too much about what you want them to want. And in our study of networking today, what they really want is you to care about what they want and figure out what they want and find it. Another lady, when I just got out of law school, and I was trying to figure out, mentor people, and I was trying to find out and I hadn't sold a house in 25 years, so I have to admit that too. And I miss it a lot. But I have to tell you, what she would say is, I don't sell houses unless I like them. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I don't sell houses unless I like them. I have to tell you, I've liked one house in Birmingham and I bought it. And I love it. And if I can financially be able to keep it, I'm going to keep it. But I don't love most of the houses that we sell. I really don't. And they're nice, but I don't love them. And a lot of them I don't even like. But it doesn't matter what I like. It matters what the buyer likes. I'll try to get back to my agenda here. Can I sit down?
Sure.
I have arthritis, so it's good for me to walk. Does anybody else have arthritis? What do you take for it? What is it? You and I are going to do just fine. In general, in my view, how you get to know more people and how do you get to know more people to know you, I don't like to take people to lunch because it costs money and there's always an issue who's going to pay for it. But y'all, it works. It's a good thing. You don't even have to mention the real estate business. But the more people you see at lunchtime, the better off you are. It's quick, fairly cheap, and it works. You need to take somebody different to lunch every day, or every 2 days, or every 3 days. You need to take somebody to lunch. Whether it's a mortgage person, a title company person, or somebody who might know somebody who's kin to somebody who lives across the street from somebody who might want to buy a house. I cannot tell you how important that is. I hate it, but it's a good thing to do. And when you invite somebody to lunch, tell them to begin with. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm paying for mine, you're paying for yours. However way you want to handle it. I just don't want it to be a money issue. And I'm just telling you that. Don't let it be a problem. But take somebody to lunch all the time. You need to get yourself out of your office and into the public and be seen and seen all the time. It's very meaningful to you and your business. Organization memberships. I'm a believer in being a member of things to help other people. And I suspect that all you all feel the same way. But I'm here to tell you it's good for your business as well. And I think if it's good for your business, I think that's a good thing. And if you're a member of Kiwanis or Rotary or, I went and wrote, where did we go? If y'all ever been to Bedford, Virginia, it's lovely. They have some of the prettiest houses. I took a picture of one yesterday and the man called me and I had to scoot around because I was going to see me. But it is a lovely little city. But there's a place there that has the elks. If you're an elk, you can stay there. Anyway, member of elk, member of belt, whatever it is. But I'm a believer in being members of things outside of your business. It's good for the community because you're doing something good. You're not doing something good to make you feel good. You're doing something good to make somebody else feel good. And that is a good thing for you and your business as well. And I'm not a believer in being a member of organizations for the sake of being a member of organizations, but I am being a member of being an organization. When we're in sales, sometimes we get self-serving. I think we ought to do something for somebody else that is good for all the way around. And I highly recommend it. Make a point to meet new people every day. There's nothing better for me than to go into a room, and I don't know anybody. I love that. Now, I said a while ago, 10 minutes ago, that it's not me, my. It's not really important what I think, and it really isn't. But I'm suggesting to you that you might want to consider thinking about it that way. Because you need to meet somebody new every day in your business. Every day. Somebody new. I'm not talking about giving them business cards. I'm not talking about even mentioning real estate. I'm talking about expand your circle of knowledge of people for you to them and them to you. Meet new groups of people. Not just people in your organization or in your church or on your street. Y'all can tell I'm from the country, I don't know what that other one is. But truly, in different types of people. It's very important for you to get around and know different kinds of people. Not just those that look and act like you. I guess I need to keep these on, don't I? Never burn bridges with anybody. It amuses me with some of our competitors used to, and the agent would say they were leaving, well, take your keys and get out of here now. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. Assuming you would love to have that agent come back. Plus it's bad manners. Plus it's not being brought up very well, if that's what you do. Never burn bridges with anybody. A seller or a buyer or an agent who's leaving you, or even someone in the grocery store, or even someone you buy a shirt from. Never burn a bridge with anybody for any reason. And I submit to you, there's never a reason to hurt anybody's feelings for any reason, ever. And that's just a good motto to stick with. By the way, my mother taught me that years ago. Know the public, know public officials, know people who run your city, know people who run your county, and know them. Go to their meetings and make sure they know who you are. Don't give them a business card, necessarily. If you want to, that's fine. But let them know your name and what you do somehow. But get to know the people who are the business leaders of your city. Get to know the people who are political leaders of your city. Get to know them. Don't talk about them from afar. If you don't like what they're doing, get in the mob and get to know them so you can help them change. But it's very important for you to be known by political leaders and business leaders. Know who you want to know. Now, I may have had some of your bourbon when I wrote that some time back, but I do believe what I meant by that is figure out who you want to get to know and make it a point to make it happen with some organization behind it. Always be candid. Now, I wrote a bad word in here, bull mess, but I'm here to tell you that my wife used to say to be perfectly honest with you. You know, I don't like that. I'm never going to be anything but honest with you. Never. Now, I may not tell you everything I want you to know. And I may not tell you everything about the story I'm telling you. But I will never be dishonest with you. But I think the better word is to say, to be perfectly candid with you, as opposed to be perfectly honest. Think about it. You're suggesting that you're not honest all the time when you say to be perfectly honest. I mean, you know, you've pulled me to the last degree. I'm going to be honest with you this time. Now, the last 3 times we got, I wasn't honest. It's a little funny, but it's true. But my point I make to you is be real with people. Be candid. Now, I will suggest another thing. If you see someone who is just outright dead ugly, you don't go and say, you are really ugly. What you may say is, good morning, it's a nice day. Now, that's being candid. Now, if she comes up to me and says, am I ugly? Then I'm in a bind. Honesty is never an issue. I have no patience with one who is not. I hope you have the same attitude. Eye-to-eye contact is always there, always to be seen, always to be tended to. I met every one of them, well, a couple of you came in late, y'all were really tardy, but practically everybody here, I looked at you when I said hello, and I think you all were brought up that way, but we forget sometimes to do that. It's important. It's respectful. And by the way, my wife tended to me on this recently. I have put on my driver's license for years that I have hazel eyes. My eyes are blue. Isn't that awful? That's kind of bad, isn't it? I have 2 degrees. I must be an idiot at times, but I really had hazel on my driver's license. Anyway, know ahead of time. Know ahead of time how you can be of service to somebody. I said to you all ago, 30 minutes ago, let me handle all your real estate needs. Y'all, that's awful. Don't do that. Know what you want to do. I want to sell you a house. I want to list your house. I want to see to it that it gets sold. I want to see to it that you find the house that you want. Not let me handle all of your real estate needs. It's too generic. It's too, I don't know. Know your business, know your strengths, and know your weaknesses. Know your weaknesses. And absolutely admit them. When someone says to you something that you're kind of weak in, say, I'm working on strengthening that, and I appreciate you bringing it up. If you don't appreciate it bringing it up, don't say it. You might go back to my being candid. Platform for network specifics. I said to you a while ago, organizational memberships. What is there anything that someone would absolutely not like to be a member of? I'd like to know what that is, for instance. I've never asked that before. Is there some organization? I'm sorry? Oh my goodness. From Alabama. I just seen you not bring that up. I understand. I'm teasing you. Thank you.
But you are blushing.
I am? I'm not a member. I promise. Is there anything you'd ever never want to be a member of? You know, there are a lot of things I don't want to be a member of. So I would pick and choose. And that's what I was saying a while ago. I want to make it worth my time. My time's valuable. And I want to stick my name with an organization that's meaningful to other people so that I can be a part of that meaningfulness to other people. I don't want to just be a member of something for the sake of it. And I'd like to be a member of something that's kind of difficult to get in, not easy. Anything that's worthwhile is going to be a little difficult. And remember, anything that's easy, anybody can do it. And I don't want to be a part of anything that's easy. I want it. And another thing, well, I guess I shouldn't get into that. But, you know, people all the time at home are saying, let's get together, but let's make it easy. I don't want it to be easy when you come to my house. I want to go to some trouble. Because if I go to the time, and if I like you well enough that I'm going to invite you to my house, I don't dust, but I want to go to some trouble. I do. And when I come to your house, I'd like you to go to a little trouble for me too. What I'm saying to you is, I'm getting off track here, but let's be sure that when we join something and associate ourselves with something, that it's meaningful. And it's not going to be all that easy to get in, is my point. I said lunch with potential clients and customers or friends of those people. When I tell you to do that weekly, I'm telling you to do it at least once weekly, if not every day. I mean it. It will mesmerize you about your business level if you will do it, I promise you. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'll buy you lunch if it doesn't work, but I promise you it will be meaningful to your business in the future. Social settings. I have a rule in my life that if I'm at a party, a wedding or a party or whatever it is, I never bring up real estate. Never. But if you bring it up, I'm prepared to talk about it. I am. And many times when we were growing our business, my wife and I would be at a party, it'd be a pretty big party, and somebody would bring it up, and I would leave the party with the person who asked me the question and go to my office and talk about it, and my wife would never know the difference. That's good, because I love that stuff. But I never brought it up. It was only brought up to me. That means that it's incumbent upon me to be prepared to talk about it if you bring it up. But that way, I don't ever get a reputation of, well, he's just hugging me or kissing me or waving to me to get my listing. I don't violate that. But I'm prepared when you bring it up. I don't play golf very well, but a lot of business transactions are taking place that way, or swimming or tennis or whatever you do athletically. I go to the Y all the time, and I'm a member of that board. And I love the YMCA in Birmingham. I love it. And it's been very meaningful to my health. And I have met more people who have brought more business to our company than I could possibly remember to tell you. I do not believe that I have ever given one business card to a soul with the YMCA unless they ask me. But I see different kinds and types and ages and interest groups that I would never see elsewhere. And it's one of the most meaningful organizations I have ever been a member of. And it's been good for our business as well. Plus, it's good for my health. Travel. Y'all, when I go somewhere, and that's not important what I do, I recommend to you that when you go somewhere, pick up, and I have a feeling you already do this, but pick up real estate books, magazines, anytime you go to a town. And tell them who you are. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I don't like. And I told you a while ago it wasn't important what I don't like, but this is important what I don't like. It's interesting to me that more people than not, who are in the real estate business, they will give me their business card and they will say, send me referrals. I don't believe I've had anybody ever come up to me and say, I want to send you referrals. Think about it. The next time you want to talk about referrals with somebody, don't ask them for referrals. Tell them you want to send them referrals. I mean, you'll get their attention. You probably won't ever do it. But it's interesting to me that we're always thinking about you send me some stuff. But what about me sending you some? What I'm trying to say is in your networking efforts, particularly with referral business, make it a you to me and me to you deal. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm afraid sometimes we get in ruts and we only think about ourselves and we say, send me referrals, I'll really handle them well and send you a lot of commission. But we need to talk in terms of what we're going to do together. We're going to form our relationship together so that you help me and I help you. And it may not be me to you, it may be somebody in my company or somebody in my town. Or it may be somebody in your company or somebody in your town. But it's an arrangement we're making with each other in our networking situation with referral business. And it's a different approach than send me referrals. If y'all learned anything yet, y'all not very enthusiastic. We got to do better. Congratulate business leaders. Write them a note. Let them know when they do well, when they merge a business, when they sell a business, when they get a big deal, a building company, whatever company it is. If you know them, see them, tell them, I saw you in the paper. It really is a good thing. I have a laminate, I call it it's a laminating machine. I send people all the time, laminated, it's cheap. It's laminated, with the, you I call it plasticize. You plasticize the article and you send it to the people. People appreciate that. and you're acknowledging the fact that you're letting them know you know they've done something well. It's in the paper. I do it all the time. I have to tell you, it's a good thing to do. It's a nice thing to do for people who are becoming outstanding in your community. It's a nice thing to do for your business. And it's small. It doesn't take up much space. Hunting and fishing. I like to go bird hunting. You know, I don't think I'm going to sell a house when I shoot my shotgun over yonder when I go the way I go hunting. I don't think that's going to happen too often. But I have to tell you, there's a lot of camaraderie that goes on in a hunting club. And it's been very important to my business when I go bird hunting, because people kind of let loose there, particularly at night, and they're drinking some of your bourbon. And you notice I said they. And I have to tell you, it's a good way it's a good thing to do. Now, more gentlemen than ladies go hunting, but it's just a good thing to do. I like to go bird hunting. Attend speeches and gatherings of business leaders, and I'm a believer in it. 2 reasons. I think you owe it to yourself and your business to know what's going on in your business, in the community. I think it's important for you, the business leaders, to see you there. I think you owe it to the people in your business, your own business, your personal business. You owe it to yourself to know what's going on. And you can talk intelligently with the buyers and sellers with whom you do business. You can talk with your spouse or your significant other or whoever you go with, and you can talk about it to yourself. But it's important to know what's going on in your community. I'm a believer in it. Friends mix and mingle, and I'm a believer in knowing as many people as you can know when you go somewhere. And don't stand in a corner and expect everybody to come to you. Now, that could be a reverse. I grew up, my mother was very soft and didn't talk a whole lot, but my father did. And sometimes it can be misinterpreted when you're a little on the forward side. I mean, I'm a little gregarious, I suppose. And it can be misinterpreted because I just grew up that way, because all my aunts and uncles hugged and kissed and rubbed and touched and all that stuff. My mother did not. But I did growing up. And sometimes that can, people think, is he for real? But I'm a hugger. I mean, that's just where I grew up. But some people don't like that. So you have to be very careful in your mix and mingling about how you handle different people, about shaking hands and hugging and all that stuff. You just have to be careful about it. And sometimes when I say misinterpreted, that people just don't believe that you can be that friendly and be genuine, I suppose. But that's just the way I was brought up. I don't know how y'all were brought up, because I don't know you till today. You and I have known each other. I've known Tom. CE courses. When you take a CE course, everybody's there for the same reason, to get it over with. And learn a little bit. But make it meaningful. Get to know people at a CE course, for instance. And remember them. Write them a note. Write them an email. Send them something so they'll remember who you are. For relocation business, referral business. Make it count. And you know what? Today, you ought to, in this room, you ought to at least make some kind of connection with somebody. And I want somebody to come up to me and say, I want to send you referrals. Business functions, city functions, political functions, we have said that. Now, I want to get on to another subject I like to talk about. Never say never to any customer possibility. Never. Every customer I've ever dealt with told me to begin with that what he didn't want to do. He started out by telling me what he didn't want to do. Not what he wanted to do, but what he didn't want to do.
That's true.
Think about it. It really happens. That's fine. That means they're getting interested. And anybody that tells me no, never does that mean anything to me but maybe. I mean that. And I mean it not just for selling real estate. Anybody that tells me no, I believe that it really is maybe. I mean that. And I suggest that you review your own thought and see if that's possible for you to think. It's very important for your business. It's very important, in my opinion, it's very important for your life. More people say no more times than more people say yes. But more people mean yes than no who say no. Now, I made that up. I have no idea if that's true or not. But it sounded pretty good. I've never said that in my entire life till today. But I kind of like that. I think that was a Confucius saying. I think it ought to be in one of those Chinese books. But I have to tell you, though, I really mean this. When you tell me no, it means maybe to me. It's a challenge, and I believe I can convert that no to a maybe pretty quick, and I believe I convert that maybe to a yes if you give me enough time. More times than not. Not always, but more times than not. And I suggest you have the same attitude. Those customers who have long-standing relationships with real estate companies ought to be respected. However, if their relationship dissolves, be prepared. What am I saying there? All right, now the guy in the orange shirt is talking, so either he's bored or talking. So you tell me, you jackass, tell me over there, what does that mean?
I'm waiting for the burp.
I'm with you, boss. What does that mean to you, what I just said? I'm just picking on you. I'm teasing with you. What does that mean? Or did you understand what I said? Yeah, that's what I thought. You were working on a listing, I know. I'll get him, you just wait. I said those customers who have long-standing relationships with real estate companies are to be respected. However, if these relationships dissolve, be prepared. What does that mean? Seriously, what does that mean?
I don't.
What does that mean?
If they ask me to real estate, I'm talking.
Well, let me tell you something. If the relationships dissolve, I'm going to start the talking. I respect when you have a listing. I respect that. But if I know that you've lost it, I'm in there. I won't tell you how I do business. And I will never, ever tell how you don't do business. Never. I will never violate that. Never. And if you're the seller and you try to get me in that bond to tell how bad she was, I'll never submit to you. Never. I owe that to you. But I'm going to be the first to call if I want the listing. I'm not going to wait for you to call me, and you were suggesting that anyway. But that's important when I said don't burn bridges. When you go to a house, you may end up with a listing. Be careful. Make sure that you look decent. You know, we got a bunch of folks that now everybody wears flip-flops. Of course, I'm not a sock guy. But everybody wears flip-flops, and we don't look as good as we used to look selling real estate. Now, I'm old-timey. I'm 66. I'm old-timey. I know I am. But I have to tell you, I think we need to look better. Now, that is not in networking, necessarily. But, I mean, y'all, what we do is important. What we do is meaningful. What we do represents a lot of money. What we do represents a lot of emotion. And what we do is a big deal. And I think sometimes that we sell ourselves short by wearing shorts or something like that when we start doing our business. That's just a side note. That's just the hang up that I have. You want people to think of you and your real estate company. If they think of someone other than the real estate company, then now do business with you. In other words, you want people to think of you when they decide to either do business with somebody to begin with or when they decide to change companies. You want them to think of you. I'm a believer that more people than not think of the agent than the company. I believe that. I respect that. I endorse that. I embrace that. I have no problem with that. I do think, though, that any good agent needs a good company behind him or her to make it the whole circle work. But the real reason, more times than not, when a seller or buyer does business with an agent is because of the agent and the agent's capability, not necessarily the company. And I'm a believer in that, and I respect that big time. Know your real estate company. You know, I think you ought to know everybody in your company unless you got thousands of people. Certainly in your branch. Know them. Know how they did. Emulate them. Those that are really doing better than you, find out why they're doing it. And copy. I'm a believer in paralleling. When you got something I want, I'm going to tell you, I want to watch you because I want to do some things you do because you do it successfully. And I want to learn from you. Is that okay? The only thing is if they say no, it crushes me, it hurts my feelings. But I'm a believer in that. But getting to know is part of your networking situation. Getting to know the people in your company is so important. You call on them, they call on you. And when you're out and about, you need to know who's doing the business. And if you ain't doing it, you need to know what's wrong. Where have you been? Please join us. Referral business within the real estate company exists. Are you in the circle? We have a situation in our, and of course I'm not with that, I mean, I'm in a non-compete, it's just now over. But in our company, we had so much difficulty with people who would say, I never get a referral. I have no patience with that. If you're not in the referral business and you want to be in it, it's your fault. You make sure you know the right people who know the right people who make the right decision to see to it that you're going to get in that circle. And if you're not on the bandwagon, you got to change. Maybe somebody doesn't like you. Make sure they're going to start liking you. It's part of your networking situation, but you got to. It's your deal. And there are relocation directors who I have great respect for, but there are relocation directors who have, they have people. You still don't have your shoes on. I'm delighted. They have favorites. Couldn't think of the word. I understand that because they know it can get done, and they've got a third-party company or a relocation company or a bank or whoever they represent, and they want to get it done right now, and they know they can count on certain people. I buy that. But y'all, in your networking situation, maybe it's important for you to make sure you're one of those that the relocation director knows you can get it done. Staff. I'm a believer in, and I suggest that you might want to become a believer if you're not. I'm a believer in making sure that the staff in your company knows you well and you know them well, and they know how much you respect what they do and how appreciative you are of what they do. I have no patience with agents who are ugly to staff, even though I know sometimes we as real estate people are very put upon and we're very emotional at times. If the staff is not there singing your praises, you're in trouble. And I'm a believer in you're making sure that you network with your staff sufficient enough that they support you when you're not around and they support you when you are around. I believe that. A lot of people don't really care about it. And when we had our company that I mentioned about, the lady who was my assistant, she and I went to lunch at least once a week. I just loved her. And she made me proud. And without her, I didn't do very well. And she knew I knew it. Which leads me to something else that I want to say about the agent situation. I said, now where have you been to? We've been missing you. Come join us. What's your name?
Gabby,
Where are you from?
Charlottesville.
Nice to see you. Please come in. Do you know a fellow named Harrison Grubbs?
Yeah.
He's my godson.
Oh.
Is he here?
Not yet.
Is he coming?
I don't know that.
Okay. His father's a judge, and his dad and I were roommates in law school. Went to school together. Anyway, glad you're here.
Thank you.
Where was I? Somebody straighten me. Where was I? Oh, what was I talking about? Thank you, she did. Thank you, I appreciate that. One other thing that I want to tell you that when we had 20 offices, and I used to say, we would rotate the offices for sales meetings. And I would say, when I would leave the door, and I meant this, I want everybody in this room to know that I want everybody in this room to know that I know that you know that I don't have a job unless you list a house and see to it that it gets sold. And I mean that. And I parallel that with what I was talking about a while ago about the importance of when a buyer and a seller making decisions based on the agent without the company, and I mean that. Because the agent's activity is the heart of what we do. But without staff, we have a hard time making it happen at the end. And so I submit to you that it's so important for you to continue or have a good relationship with the staff in your company and make sure that they know you and you know them and it's a good relationship. It's better for the staff to be positive when you're not around than it is for them not to be positive, believe me. you need to know how your own company markets itself so that you can distribute that information to the people with whom you network. Another subject that's important in my view, in learning how to network yourself in your business, to me, it's almost as important, if not as important, to know your competition as well or better than know your own company. I think it's just as important to know your competition, if not more important. How do they do business? How do they list? How do they sell? How do the agents work? How are the agents treated? How do the agents treat their boss? How do the agents treat the staff? How does the staff treat the agents? What goes on elsewhere compared to our company? And I think it's extremely important to know that. I don't think it's germane in your networking, but I just think it's important for you to know. Is to know what other people do. The public watches you and you're on stage all the time. And here's is what I'm talking about. What about how do we dress? We are on stage all the time. Everybody wants to talk about real estate. Everybody. Because everybody, as a rule, not everybody, but most everybody has some kind of connection to real estate. Either they rent or they buy and own. Y'all, it's on everybody's mind. Y'all know that. But we're on stage all the time and they're watching us. They want to know how we dress. Or they size us up. They also size us up by the car we drive. Not how much it costs, but whether it's clean. And y'all, mine's filthy. I'm preaching to me. It is. It's not, and I'm doing some consulting work in Huntsville, and I go 2 days a week to this new company that's starting, and the owners of that company felt so sorry for me. They had a man come to wash my car when I didn't even know he was going to do it. That's true. But that actually happened. Where do we live? Do we own or do we rent? And where do we live? What neighborhood are we in? What do we belong to? Are we in the public eye? Are we in the newspaper? Do we belong to Rotary or Kiwanis or Elks or something such as that? What do we do for other people? What do we do for our family? What is our reputation? How do we act in public? What do we do at a restaurant? Y'all, more so than most any, ministers more so than we probably, but more so than most any other profession, if you will. We are judged by the public all the time. And sometimes we don't rise to the occasion. And it messes us up. How does the public size you up? Are you snooty? I had someone the other day tell me it was a party the other night, and he told me I was arrogant. He was teasing with me, I hope. But I got to thinking, I don't ever want anybody to think I'm arrogant. That's an awful thing to be thought of. Arrogant is terrible. Snooty? Do we ever act snooty? Are we ever act self-centered? Are we the town clown ever? That's not a good thing. Are we eating up with it? That's a good country saying where I grew up. Are we sophisticated? Are we plain Jane? Are we fancy? I can assure you I'm not fancy. Are we stiff? Are we stuffy? Are we controllable? Are we controlling? Are we opportunistic? Are we down to earth? Are we serious? Are we funny? Are we easy to talk to? Are we a person of few words? Are we verbose? Are we approachable? Are we caring? Are we interested? Are we interesting? Are we a problem solver? The most important one I'm going to talk about is, are we empathetic? Are we self-confident? Are we a nice person? Are we ambitious? Are we smart? Smarty? Are we ethical? Are we honest? Are we sharp? Are we a listener? I have to say, being an empathetic person is the most important thing that I could tell you today. Is learning how to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. In whatever you do, whether you list or sell or both, or handle management of rentals or whatever you do in our business, or whether you manage or whatever, I think that if I could leave you with anything today, it's learning to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try hard to feel what they feel. More times than not, it's impossible to do that. And you know, it's somewhat insulting when someone's had something awful happen to them, and you sit down next to them and say, I know how you feel, and you really don't. But the better we can come to grips with trying to learn how someone else is handling things, to learn and recognize what's going on in their life, the better we can handle our business with them. And you know, I think sometimes if we can sit down in a business environment and say, now tell me, what have you liked about your house that you left? And what would you like to change in a new house? And tell me why. Tell me what goes on in your life that you want me to know so I can get better to know you, to help you find what you want. And when you're dealing with sellers in whatever capacity, and you're learning new people and enlarging your circle of network, that was my point I made to you an hour ago, that in learning different kinds of people, the better you can know them and put yourself in their shoes, the better you can help them find what they want, whether they're a seller or whether they're a buyer. And sometimes we skip over those levels and think, you know, we're going to slide right on in and we're going to make it happen. But we don't sit down and take the time to get to know those people better, to help them and to put ourselves in their shoes, to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish. Because once again, it's not important what we think. What's really important is what they think. Always network the real estate company name with your name. Never separate the two. And I believe that. And if you can't support your company when you're dealing for your business for yourself, then you're in the wrong company. The public wants to and needs to know the real estate company name, not just your agent's name, but they want to know something about your company. Even though I do believe that the reason they're doing business is because of you. But they want to know something about the company and your manager, how your manager ticks, and the way your company operates. They want to know. Sometimes they're not going to tell you that, but they do. Branding the real estate company name is essential to a successful gaming business. And sometimes if your company doesn't do it, maybe you help them do it. But a lot of companies never brand themselves. They never do it. And it's such a loss. Avoid the position that I don't need to do this, because you need to do whatever it takes to get your buyer what he wants, what he or she wants, and get your seller to move on to the next level of whatever they want. Share success stories of gaining new business with other real estate agents in your company, and it's meaningful to you as well as to them. A lot of people who are successful in business are stingy. They don't want anybody to know what they know. We're thinking about this. One of our vice presidents of our company now, he's has left our company, and he and I go form a company in Birmingham. My non-compete's over, and you take your shoes off too. Good for you. I hate shoes. I do. I hate them. But Scott Bruno will have my neck if I take my shoes off. He used to work. He's from Alabama. I have to say, in in dealing with different kinds of people, sometimes I miss the boat when I don't get to know them well enough. And what a loss I have. But sometimes I can make it up later on when I get to know them a little bit better. I have a question of you all. What is the most difficult problem for you to meet and learn new people? Can somebody tell me what that most difficult problem is?
Always find out what they're looking for, because a lot of times it shows what they say they want, but it's a problem with them.
Okay. And you said getting to know what they really want because they don't know. Is that what you said? I couldn't hear.
Or you hear them wrong, or you don't really hear what they're saying.
Okay.
You gotta listen.
Okay. How do you fix that, you think? I submit to you, I'm learning that word submit, and I'm using it a lot today. I submit to you that maybe you might improve your job of spending more time with them before you ever look at anything. I don't mean that critically, I'm just meaning in a supportive fashion. Maybe you could spend a little bit more time with them in sitting down at a table and saying, let's talk about what you really want. And more important than that, what don't you want? I'm more interested in what you think you don't want than what you think you want. And sometimes when you do the plus and the minus on a sheet of paper, they'll come to grips because a couple have never really come to grips with that to each other. They may have skirted it in their own home. And when they have you as a mediator, it will certainly get you the position and able to learn more what they really want, and better still, what they don't want when they're together with you.
I hear a lot of agents showing 20 or 30 houses. Personally, I think the agent is missing the boat somewhere along the line. I don't think you need to show 20 to 30 houses in order to find what they want. They're
Well,
shocked.
I guess that varies from market to market, and I understand what you're saying completely. I'm a believer in I think you gain time in the long run if you spend more time in the interview process to begin with. And I say that with regards to sellers as well as to buyers. Because many times we tell a seller that we're going to do this and this and this, but we don't explain well enough to a seller what we really mean by what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. And today, for instance, and I'm getting off networking, but like for instance today, I think it's very important to realize that we don't have a marketing plan for a seller anymore for any length of time. The market changes so quickly. And to say we're going to do this and this and this for the next 6 weeks is sort of silly, because the market may change tomorrow and cause us to change completely what we do. And newspaper advertising, for instance, I'm not a believer in that much anymore. But if we are, we may say we're going to put it in the paper every other Sunday. That's foolish. We don't know we're going to do that. And make sure that when you tell your seller that but we understand in your best interest, I'm going to change my marketing plan all the time, because the market changes all the time. But I guess it's the communication that we mess up with so much of the time. We don't let our seller know what we are and aren't going to do. We don't let our buyer know what we are and aren't going to do. For instance, I don't believe that when you have a seller, and this doesn't work all the time, if there's a husband and wife, I want you both together. My time's important, your time's important. I want the reaction of both of you. We're going to save you time for you both to go and we look at it. I know, Mr. Husband, you work. I know, Miss Wife, you have children. But let's make it, this is important. I want you to stick with me the way and I'm guiding you how I want us to do business. If this is okay with you, I recommend this because we're going to save time. And frankly, you're going to save money. But give them reasons what the benefits are to them as to how you intend for them to do business. Don't let them tell you how to do business. Let you tell them how you want to do business. I'm getting off track. What I was going to say a while ago is there's a lady named Jenny Pruitt, who I think is one of the sharpest real estate people in the whole country. She is a friend of mine. She and her husband Bob, and they have a company in Atlanta. And they sold their company, Virginia Real Estate, to Home Services several years ago. And she's now started a new company with Sotheby's in Atlanta. So we went over there and visited with her for a whole day 2 weeks ago. She's dead attractive. And she's really smart. What I want to tell you is, I was talking about sharing information is what I'm getting at. She sat there the entire day and shared so much information to me, it was unbelievable. And she's done that before, as I have with her. My point is that I don't ever mind giving you any information I got. Never. There's nothing that I have business-wise that I won't share with you. I don't think that everybody will do that with me, but I'm not paranoid about sharing information. And it has benefited me significantly because I have people like Jenny Pruitt who are willing to share with me, big time. I'll give you any information you want, any, if I've got it. And it has benefited me by having that open door kind of policy in my business. And she did that with me. It was incredible what I learned in one day. And so many people are not willing to do that in our business because they're so scared you're going to get something from them. And I don't have that attitude. I don't. And I recommend that you consider not having the same attitude. I have just a couple more things to say. And I told you we wouldn't be here till 3 o'clock. It's just 2:30. What I say to you is, we will never be able to, the technology part of our business is just mesmerizing. You know, Twitter this and Twitter that, and Facebook this and Facebook that, and web pages and websites. It is so valuable to what we do, it's unbelievable. As everybody knows that. But you know, we are not the gatekeepers of the multiple listing system anymore. And we have to prove our worth. More times than not, when the buyer comes to us, he or she knows more about what's on the market than we do because they have centralized what they want to look at. And they're more interested in themselves, obviously, and I don't blame them. And they know exactly what's for sale and what the prices are, what the addresses are.